Yes, ma'am. The part most frightening. I can honestly say that I've never been scared on a paranormal investigation. I have at times questioned whether or not I wanted to continue doing what I'm doing based on what activity I've witnessed. Example, the IM6 case that I talked about. I was there for the filming of the TV show, and I wasn't actually in the house, but I was out just outside, and I was watching it all go down on camera. The girl was physically attacked while we were there, and this made the show. You may have remembered it, the scratches on her back. And when that happened, I stood there alongside of Chris Dedman, and Chris was a member of my team at that time. Y'all don't remember Chris. He's been on Ghost Adventures. He's been on Ghost Lab. He's been on most terrifying places in America. But anyway, he and I were sitting there talking. I said, man, I see something like that happen. It makes me question whether or not I want to continue doing this, because every time I walk into a house, I'm subjecting, or a building, whatever, I'm subjecting myself to that same thing. Because as I said earlier, you don't know what you're opening a portal to, folks. And again, that's why I stress: do not investigate the paranormal if you don't know what you're doing. Another example, and I promise I'll get off my soapbox on this. You may have saw this on A Haunting on Discovery Channel. Stacy Jones is a well-known paranormal investigator in New York. Took her 15-year-old son out to a cemetery up there one night investigating. Allowed him to play with dowsing rods. Didn't think anything about it. Just thought it was in a cemetery. Nothing major going to be there. He became possessed and had to undergo a full-blown exorcism. So again, it's nothing to play around with. Okay, I promise I'll get off of that. But that's my pet peeve in the paranormal field. Any more questions?
Where's your office?
I am based in Moorhead, Kentucky. But my team, which I'll be honest, my team hasn't done a lot lately. I've done more on my own than I have with my team. But I have members all over Eastern Kentucky. I have them in Paintsville, Salyersville, Kentucky, all the way down to Richmond, Kentucky. Yes, way in the back.
Have you ever had anything follow you home? And if so,
No, I have not had anything to follow me home. That's a good question. It can happen. Thank God it's not happened to me. There have been a couple times I thought, I've had thoughts that maybe something did, but no, it turned out not to be the case at all. Any more questions? Right here. I always, on every investigation, I always open with prayer and I close with prayer. I'm not Catholic, but I'll use any type of protection if I think it'll work. When I did the case with Paranormal State, Ryan Buell gave me a blessed medal, and to this day I still carry it in my wallet. So I don't, like I said, I'm Christian, but I'm open to, I'm open-minded when it comes to that kind of stuff. To me, you can't have too much protection. So yeah, I always try to protect myself in some way. Way back here in the corner.
Do Ouija boards really work?
Ouija boards, great subject. Now, let me just say this. 75 to 80% of all paranormal cases, or at least the ones I've had, stem from the use of a Ouija board. Nothing to play around with, folks. And I can't believe they're still distributing those things as toys. Right here.
Is there a difference between a spirit board and a Ouija board?
Same thing. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm down on Ouija boards, and a lot of other investigators are, but and I'm get back on my soapbox again. But really, if you think about it, there's no difference in using a Ouija board than using an EMF detector, using dowsing rods, or a voice recorder. You're still attempting spirit communication. And you are opening yourself up. Now, the only difference is with the Ouija board with dowsing rods, you are actually allowing that spirit to move through you. Whereas you're not with a voice recorder or an EMF meter or that kind of thing. Any more questions? Wait back here.
I just wondered, my dad was killed when I was 16, and 20 years later to the day, I was in the house, looked out over where he died, and I saw him totally as if he was a person. And I was like, that's what he wore. It's just down to everything, because I didn't even remember what he had on. Now, what do you call that?
Could be a residual, you know.
He was looking at the house longingly. That's what I felt.
It could have been residual, or he could have just been appearing to let you know something. Who knows? Any more questions? Right here.
If somebody wants to experience a ghost that they have never experienced, or some people that want to experience it but have never experienced it, is there anything that a person can do to kind of at least experience something so they can either believe or not believe?
My recommendation would be is to align yourself with a credible paranormal group. And when I say credible, do some research on it. You know, a lot of paranormal groups, I mean, they're popping up by the thousands every day. People watch Ghost Hunters on Wednesday night. They think, oh, that's cool. I'm going to try that. They go buy my voice recorder. They all of a sudden, they call themselves paranormal investigators without any training whatsoever at all. And they throw up a website offering their services to clients when they don't have any experience. So how can they offer services that they have no knowledge to provide? So make sure the group's legit. And then align yourself with them, ask them if you can accompany them on an investigation or so. And if they know what they're doing, they're going to pretty well know this, you know, if something's dangerous or not. So that would be my recommendation. Any more questions? Right there.
The rods they're selling here, do those work, or do they have to be, special?
I didn't hear your question.
The rods that they're selling over at the booths, do those work?
The dowsing rods? I have mixed feelings when it comes to dowsing rods. I love to use them. I love to experiment with them. But who knows if they're actually being moved by spirits or not. And the reason I say that is this. A couple years ago, a guy invented I forgot the name he gave it, but it was nothing more than a dowsing rod holder. You put a rod on each side, and you left it on a table or whatever. You could put it on a tripod and leave it. Okay? That way nobody is touching the dowsing rods. And so if they move, then most likely they're going to be moved by an entity of some sort. I have gone to extremely haunted places, and places where I have used the dowsing rods in the past, and it would just held them in my hands. And the rods will move when I hold them in my hands, but when I put them in the holder, they wouldn't move. So that kind of made me question the legitimacy of dowsing rods. I still love to use them, but it brings up two possibilities. Either they're not being moved at all by spirits, or I get that backwards. Either I'm subconsciously moving the rods myself unintentionally, because I would never fake anything. But, maybe subconsciously I'm moving the rods myself. Or the spirit is actually using my energy to move the rods. That's the two theories I have on it. And so I haven't reached a conclusion on those yet, just to be quite honest. Like I said, I love to play with them. I have a set that I use all the time. But I wouldn't walk into a client's home and say, hey, your house is haunted, just because the dowsing rod's crossed. Just to be honest with you. Any more questions? Right here.
What you were just talking about, that makes sense. I've been around Ouija boards all my life. I've never seen one move when nobody was touching it. I've heard it once in a while, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we work on the same principle. Either the spirit is using the person's energy, or the person is moving the planchet subconsciously. Any more questions? Comments? All right. Once again, my website's ghosthunterjoeclark.com. I have a booth set up out on the street out there. I got a few of my books, a few DVDs. Stop by and say hello, and I'll see you out there in just a few minutes. What time is it? I got 15 minutes before our next speaker comes on. So if you want to go grab something to eat or something to drink real quick. I forgot who's coming up next. Let me find my list. Our next speaker will be Alvin Cavanes. He's a UFO investigator. That should be a really good presentation, so you might want to stay around for that. And we'll be back in 15 minutes.